One of the most extraordinary realizations about the Aramount Library was that it contained 3 first editions of James Joyce's Ulysses. Now, of course, all of these copies are exceptional, but there's one that is truly unique. So to talk about this copy more, we are joined by our friend and colleague, John Hessler. John, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Stephanie. Yes, it is an exceptional book in an exceptional year. This is the 100th anniversary of the publication of James Joyce's Ulysses, which was published by Sylvia Beach at Shakespeare and Company in Paris 100 years ago this February. The first copy came out on February 2nd on James Joyce's 40th birthday. And as Stephanie said, this is one of the most exceptional copies of this book that I have ever seen, and I've looked at many of them. First of all, this is one of the best preserved covers that I've ever seen. The color of this is so well preserved. Joyce attempted to make it look like the color of the Greek flag. But this one is in a state of really great preservation, mostly because it's probably been bound for a very long time. Every one of the copies of James Joyce's Ulysses is exceptional. When we actually look inside the book itself, we will see that Joyce has actually put in here the numbers of each edition. So there's a very few of these that actually survive. This one was actually dedicated to Jacques Benoit Montchamp, one of Joyce's friends. And he was also a person who was a patron at Sylvia Beach's library, the Shakespeare and Company. He also wrote some of the musical scenes that are in James Joyce's Ulysses and produced the first French translation of Molly's soliloquy, the great part that Joyce ends the book with. Now, Ulysses is a difficult book. It divides the world really into two camps, those who adore it and those who can't make it through. But this year, the 100th anniversary, there's a lot more people making it through and a lot more people trying to come to terms with this masterpiece. Why is it a masterpiece? Well, it's a masterpiece because Joyce actually showed us how to get inside the head of another human being, something that had been difficult and really never attempted in literature before. And when you read this book, the chaos of the everyday comes through, the difficulties of writing down everything you would do in a day. That's why this book is so difficult. Just think of yourself. You got up this morning. If you had to write down every single thing you did, every thought that was in your head, how complicated would it be for someone to read it? That's what Joyce has attempted here, to show us what it's like to be in another person's mind. But why is this copy so exceptional? Well, besides the dedication by Joyce himself to his friend Jacques, in the back of the book, there are a couple of things which are unique to this copy alone. One of which is called a schemata. And what these are, Joyce produced these for his friends. They are guides to actually reading James Joyce's Ulysses. And really, it is one of the only ways that we know that Joyce based this book somewhat loosely on Homer's Odyssey. Otherwise, we would have no idea. But what Joyce has done here is he's given each of the episodes, how it relates to the Odyssey, each of the kind of things that we need to know about this book as we're reading it. And he produced these just for his friends. There's only a few known to exist, and this one coming out of this volume is new to Joyce scholars, and it is an exceptional piece of survival. But even more than this particular piece is something that is completely unique to this volume. And this is an anatomical schemata, put on an actual anatomical diagram. Joyce basically talked about how each of the chapters had something to do with a human body part. And what he did was basically, this is someone who annotated. We're not really sure who put this into this volume, but it's all annotated about Joyce's chapters and which chapter does what. And so what we have here is we have one of the most extraordinary volumes that we've ever come across, that has ever in the last, say, 50 years come to light. And so for this 100th anniversary, this truly exceptional volume, this truly exceptional book is at a truly exceptional time.